I think right now, something that I've been looking into would be how could I surprise and delight our own customers with something really cool. And I've been looking into creating branded masks. Could you imagine getting that in your
Oh,
shipment?
interesting.
That would be really cool. We would
Yeah.
get the best social media response, more than anything we could ever do ourselves,
Right.
and would really drive brand loyalty to a new level. And that again is what you need. Yeah, this one's a hard one because it obviously depends on the size and type of company, but I'll kind of speak for where I am now.
Right.
Um, I think given an extra 10K, is not about sort of squeezing out a little bit more media right now. Given COVID, things are so inexpensive. CPMs have dropped. There are more impressions out there than publishers can even sell.
Right.
So I think it's really about thinking about your brand really for the long haul and what is going to matter that you're doing right now. 6 months from now, or
Hmm.
hopefully 3 months from now, when we're kind of past this COVID conversation. And so
Right.
it's funny because, again, I'm historically a digital marketer, but what I think is important right now is how do you kind of think about building a bulletproof brand, and making your brand relevant post COVID. And so that is thinking about, normally we would be very focused on how many more subscribers can we get this month, like
Right.
$10,000, that would be X number of subscribers. But given that things are performing pretty well, it's really more about some of the longer term plays, because media is going to be expensive again. It's
Exactly.
eventually going to happen. So I'm thinking about things like building out an active referral program, which is a little tough for us because we're healthcare. So it's something that we've
Hmm.
put off for quite a while. It's about getting better engagement from our patients and customers, and that is primarily for us through social media. So we're also going to launch a platform to allow people to easily give video testimonials and reviews about NURX from their own home. Um, we have a really engaging brand, just given that we're healthcare primarily focused on women who've had maybe a hard time accessing healthcare. So people are really passionate about our brand and how can we harness that in a better way to be able to use those assets now, but also in the future. Because when you think about telemedicine, and you can probably liken this to many other types of companies, we've pulled a lot of these businesses forward, 5, 10, 15 years just because of COVID.
Hmm.
And that means we're all going to have many, many more competitors when we're on the other side of it. So the more you can do now and just building engagement and a better brand, that's what I think is really important. And the programs I'm talking about might sound expensive, but there are tools that you can use that are like $100 a month. Video Peel is one that we're looking at for the video reviews, and Friend Buy for referral programs, and they're pretty inexpensive. So that's where we would focus. The other area is we have many other services beyond just birth control, and we're heavily focused on different subsegments of our own audience who might be affected in different ways by COVID specifically. So as an example, we work with an ad agency called Commando. I love the name. They specialize in LGBTQ advertising. So I might take some of that money and double down on some of the more specialty audiences that I've been thinking about, just given that
Interesting.
they are probably affected in different ways than like the broader population that we have. So again, I think you could parallel that to many businesses. Um, Bigger budget items, I think I'd still have to go with brand on this one, which is so crazy because again, as a digital marketer, but these things really matter. So I think right now, something that I've been looking into would be how could I surprise and delight our own customers with something really cool. And I've been looking into creating branded masks. Could you imagine getting that in your
Oh,
shipment?
interesting.
That would be really cool. We would
Yeah.
get the best social media response more than anything we could ever do ourselves,
Right.
and would really drive brand loyalty to a new level. And that, again, is what you need. These are all kinds of things that you would want to do ongoing as a marketer, but I think more than ever in the time of COVID. And I've been thinking about that since I actually went to a conference and was sitting at the table with a cannabis company, and like my jaw was like on the table because they were just talking about how they couldn't do much paid marketing because of all the legal regulations. And here I am thinking, woe is me, I'm in healthcare, it's so hard. And then I learned more about that. And they said, so what we do is we come up with monthly freebies, we put them in the shipments, we give them extras for their friends, and that is our best form of referral acquisition. And the cost of a $2 or $5 tchotchke is much less than you would pay on a Facebook acquisition CAC.
Right.
And so very hard to prove. I've been working on some different tactics to kind of prove it out, but it's really stuck with me. And if I had $1 million, that's where I'd put it right now, probably.
Right.
Thinking about just right now, what's going on, I would be pretty careful, more than ever before. Marketers need to be really fluid with their budgets. So I'd be really careful getting locked into media contracts of any type. So I was looking at, I don't remember where the chart was, but there was sort of a, how has COVID affected media spend from marketers survey that had been done.
Right.
And you could kind of see the shifts across a bunch of channels, but out of home was the same. And I think everyone was kind of like, why are people spending on out of home right now? But the reality is they just had contracts that they were locked into, and now their media is probably going to be so much less effective. So I would say stay super flexible in your deals. And then, even see if some of your partners can give you 30-day outs or even shorter on some of those things. And then the other thing I would say is I am getting inundated with cheap media right now, because everyone's kind of just trying to scramble on that front, and just really think about the fact that there's not a ton of research out there yet in terms of what, the new habits that consumers have in their daily stay-at-home lives. So you can get ads on podcasts for near nothing, but for certain podcasts, they were really only listened to during commutes. People are listening to different things now. So just make sure you're asking all of those questions before you see the cheap CPMs and you see your target audience. Just make sure you ask sort of pre and post COVID activity. And sometimes it's common sense, but the reality is there just isn't a lot of data out there quite yet.
Yeah, no, actually, that's a really excellent point. I think a lot of time, and especially now when people are strapped for cash, looking some cheap media might find enticing, but then is it going to harm your brand in the long term?
Yeah.
Are you going to get stuck in the thing and you won't be able to get out of it? And that's just budget sitting there, even it might be a couple $1,000s, but that money is money. Absolutely.
The other thing I would say is just be really careful, and use it, practice this to motivate your team as well, is that as we've become a larger brand, we get a lot more feedback from our patients, much of which is unsolicited. And the reality is that the majority of it is wonderful feedback, 5-star, great company, we love what you do. But a lot of people will talk about you on social. They'll talk about your the photography that you're using. They'll talk about your ad campaign negatively. And unfortunately, it's kind of the thing that your team sees on social, and they kind of anchor themselves to it. So just always remember to try to quantify the qualitative, because we get a lot of oh, this ad campaign is causing our call center to blow up, or it's social media is, people are really upset on social media. And, you look at it and it's 3 people and they're very vocal and they're very upset. Right. And we try to respond to those people. But everyone's going to have an opinion. You're not going to make every single person happy with your message or what you're trying to do. So you really have to try to, again, it's all about balance with your team, like focus on, for us, it's like, okay, focus on the 20,000 fantastic reviews that we have as well. And what could we as a brand have done better to not get the few maybe that were a little more negative?
Yeah.
Sure. You go to any conference and all they talk about is content and you kind of roll your eyes. At least I do. Like, yes, we should be doing content. Tell me something I didn't know. But this is a time where we are more inundated with content than ever before. Right. And the reality is most of it's negative. Most people aren't really trusting a lot in the media right now. They don't know what to believe. So people really are looking for solutions and kind of a way to escape the news. And for almost any brand, there's probably a way that you can, just give them that moment of positivity or that moment of something that was helpful in their day-to-day life. So, NURX, we have newsletters for different segments of our audience, but we've definitely been amping up the volume of content and the relevancy of content. So everything from how to get a little bit of, mental health with free tools. Again, nothing to do specifically with NURX, but the theme is sort of keeping people healthy. Resource lists and helping people understand like how to take care of your hands when you're overwashing them because of COVID. And then anything you can do to demystify the news a little bit helps. It's probably easier for us because we're a healthcare company, but I've seen so many companies adjusting their marketing and their product and their content strategy in this new world. So I think got an email from Barry's boot camp. I think they're doing a great job. They've created a lower cost class that you can kind of recreate the red room, which is their whole branded room. You can do that at home. And you can give a donation. So they're not only turning like the product on its head, but then that is additional content for them. Airbnb virtual experiences, if you haven't checked that out, is really interesting. So I think what you're seeing more and more of now is a lot of marketers stepping up to the plate, going beyond marketing and figuring out, okay, in this time of craziness in everyone's lives, how can we really influence the product more than ever before, just given what's going on. So I do think it's a unique time for marketers to be able to do that. Like marketing and product in some companies, never the two shall meet, but this is a really unique time to be able to do that. And also for marketers to be able to drive the culture within their company. So I've been on a number of executive leadership calls recently where I'm hearing about just all of the incredible virtual events and things that companies are doing to drive camaraderie. Oh, I was trying so hard not to cough so that you don't have to re-record it.
It's okay. It makes it feel more like a conversation rather than like a rehearsed.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, but I'm seeing so many more marketers are influencing the culture of their companies now that we're remote. So like all of the ideation around different virtual events, everything from trivia to MTV Cribs to scavenger hunts. We came up with an idea here at NURX to do Bring Your Child to Work Day. So I got my little 2-year-old on camera. That was fun. But it's like, I think now marketers they're kind of serving as HR and culture builders, as product people and beyond. And then I would say the most obvious one is just adjusting your messaging to focus on, the fact that everyone's in this together, everyone's at home. We went out to all of our own providers and we had them take a photo of them in front of their screen with a little quote and share that with our own patients, just saying, you have all these people who are here for you. I think we actually copied it from another company. We saw it and we were like, I think it was a SaaS company. But it just tells you that people are really like thinking about how important that human connection is, the people behind the screens, the people behind the scenes that you aren't used to seeing. It's kind of like what all of the celebrities are doing, sitting in their living room doing the Tonight Show. You just never would have expected to see people in that environment. So the more marketers can kind of take it to that human level, the better.